Thursday started as an ordinary day. The night was quiet, with everything seeming as routine as ever. After a long day at work, I was looking forward to a peaceful evening at home. My wife, Susan, was downstairs, absorbed in one of her favorite shows, and our 16-year-old daughter, Emily, was in her room, chatting on the phone like most teenagers. As I passed by Emily's room to say goodnight, her words stopped me in my tracks. "Yes, my mom was with him again last weekend," she said casually, her tone so indifferent it felt surreal. My heart sank, and though I hadn't intended to eavesdrop, I couldn't help but listen further. "She's been seeing him for a while now," Emily continued, chuckling lightly as though sharing an inside joke. That laugh sent chills through me. The implications were devastating. Susan, the woman I thought I knew better than anyone, was having an affair. Worse, Emily knew and was helping her mother hide it. Shock coursed through me. How could this be real? How long had it been happening? And how could Emily, my own daughter, betray me like this? Fighting the urge to react, I went downstairs, forcing myself to act normal. Susan sat calmly on the couch, engrossed in her show, her face serene, as though she carried no secrets. How many nights had she lied to me? How many times had she left me at home, only to be with someone else? I wanted to confront her immediately, but I knew I needed proof. An emotional outburst without evidence would give her an opportunity to deny everything or manipulate the situation. That night, I lay in bed, unable to sleep, staring at the ceiling as Emily's words echoed in my mind. Memories of our life together, our wedding, building a family, and cherished moments felt tainted, like a cruel joke. The next day, I carried on as if nothing had happened. I smiled, acted oblivious, and watched them both closely. Inside, though, anger and heartbreak consumed me. Over the next few days, I began gathering evidence. Late one night, I checked Susan's phone while she slept. The messages confirmed my fears. A man named D sent her affectionate texts, discussed secret meetings, and expressed his love openly. Then I found a burner phone hidden in her office, packed with messages revealing the depth of their relationship. Susan had built a separate life, with Emily as her accomplice. Realizing the betrayal's full extent, I knew what I had to do. I wouldn't confront or beg for answers. Instead, I decided to leave. Quietly, I began preparing. I closed joint accounts, moved funds, and found a small town where no one knew my name, a place where I could rebuild my life. Each night, after they went to bed, I packed and planned, ensuring there would be no trace of me left behind. On the last night, I walked through the house, lingering in each room. Memories flooded back with every step. Susan's laughter, Emily's childhood drawings still hanging on the walls. The pain of letting go was immense, but I knew it was necessary. The love I once felt for them had been shattered beyond repair. At dawn, the world still asleep, I grabbed my bag and left. The air was crisp, and as I got into my car, I looked back at the house one last time. A strange mixture of sadness and relief washed over me. This chapter of my life was over. Driving away, I felt a sense of liberation. This wasn't just an escape, it was a reclamation of control. They would come to understand the cost of betrayal, just as I had. For now, I was free to start anew, leaving behind the pain of a life I could no longer trust. As I drove away, I realized I wasn't just leaving a house behind. I was abandoning the betrayal, the life I once believed in, and the lies I had come to know. I didn't know what the future held, but for the first time in months, I felt something new. Freedom. The initial days in my new town were surreal. I chose a modest, quiet place far from the ocean, somewhere I knew they'd never find me. My small flat overlooked the sea, and I began settling into my new life. Living alone felt strange at first, but it brought a certain calm. My days were spent exploring the town, meeting new people, and keeping a low profile. No one there knew my story, and that was exactly what I wanted. For the first time, I could just be myself, no longer a spouse, no longer a father, just a man free to start over. Occasionally, I thought about Susan and Emily. I imagined them waking up to discover I was gone, realizing that their secrets had cost them everything. I pictured their shock, their growing comprehension of what my disappearance meant. The life they had built was over. The thought gave me an odd sense of fulfillment. I shut off my phone, cutting all communication. It was a fresh start. As the days turned into weeks, the life I left behind began to fade. Peace slowly took its place. 3 years later, I had completely disappeared from my old life. I had built something new. My days were simple but fulfilling. I spent time exploring the seaside town, meeting people who knew nothing of my past, and embracing a freedom I hadn't realized I needed. Though the wounds of betrayal remained, they had faded. I was finally beginning to move on. One cool afternoon, while sitting in a quiet cafe, I heard a familiar voice. Startled, I looked up to see Dan, a former acquaintance from my old life. He stood there, mouth agape in disbelief. "Is it really you?" he asked. "Yes, Dan. It's me," I replied, memories flooding back. Dan sat across from me, his expression a mix of curiosity and concern. "Everyone thought you just vanished," he said. "Nobody knew where you went." "I needed a fresh start," I responded, unsure of how much to reveal. Dan nodded and leaned closer. "Man, you missed a lot," he said in a low voice. "After you left, suspicions about Susan's affair started surfacing. At first, people were sympathetic to her, shocked by your sudden departure. But then the truth came out, and everything changed." Dan explained how Susan's long-term affair had been exposed. Her lavish dinners, secret trips, they had all added up. When the truth emerged, her reputation crumbled. She lost friends, family, and respect. Even her parents were heartbroken. As for Emily, she blamed Susan entirely. After graduation, Emily cut all ties with her mother. Hearing this brought a strange sense of closure. Susan's actions had finally caught up with her, and she was left to face the consequences alone. Dan's parting words stayed with me. "Sometimes it's best to just walk away." That night, as I sat on the beach watching the waves crash on the shore, I felt truly free. I had rebuilt my life, a life untarnished by betrayal. The anger and heartbreak had faded, replaced by a deep sense of peace. In the years that followed, I opened myself to new experiences. I even met someone. Claire was kind, funny, and understanding. Slowly, I shared my past with her, and she offered her support without judgment. For the first time in years, I felt hope for the future. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, I reflected on my journey from heartbreak to healing. I had emerged stronger. The people who once defined my pain were now distant memories. I had found freedom, not through revenge, but through rebuilding my life.